Am I the asshole for reporting my friend to the university after he cheated using my notes? I, 22 am in med school and have this friend, let's call him Jake. We've studied together a few times, and I shared my annotated notes with him before a big exam. I made them myself, with diagrams, explanations, and even some mnemonics I came up with. A few weeks later, one of our professors used one of my made-up mnemonics in a lecture, crediting an anonymous student. I was confused. Turns out Jake had submitted my notes, with his name on them, to the prof's student tips portal, where students can share study tips for extra credit. He didn't even mention me. I confronted him, he brushed it off and said, "It's just notes, chill." So I reported it to the Academic Honesty Office, since it technically falls under plagiarism. Now he's under investigation and might lose the extra credit, or worse. Our mutual friends are calling me petty and saying I could have just talked to him. Am I the asshole? You're in med school. He needs to be held to a higher standard, not a lower one. It's alarming that someone with such poor judgment is a med student. You did the right thing. You don't know what else he's been doing to skirt the rules and expectations. What if those few extra credit points are the difference between him graduating or not? He would literally have lied his way into a field that requires integrity and sound judgment. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. To the friends who say, you should have just talked to him. You did talk to him, and he blew you off. Plagiarism is serious. At many schools it can lead to expulsion. He brought this on himself. Not the asshole. I'm sure he's shocked that he has negative consequences for using you and then treating you like crap. He made his bed. Now he gets to lay in it. Not the asshole. He should have thought about the consequences before doing that. Also med school? I wouldn't want someone like that to be my doctor. It's better he gets the consequences now rather than later when he misdiagnoses someone and causes their death. You did talk to him. This is someone who's going to be a doctor. Impeccable ethics is number one. You did the right thing. However, I don't know why you told anyone what you did thinking face. Not the asshole. You did talk to him and he told you to chill. Let him deal with the consequences. Am I the asshole for explaining to my future sister-in-law why her kids will never receive anything from us? I, 27F, have a brother, 33M, who has been dating his girlfriend Sarah for 2 years and he proposed a couple of months ago. Sarah has 2 kids from her previous relationship 8M and 6F. I would say that my parents and I are not very close to Sarah and her kids, but we are cordial and never had any problems before. My partner, bro and Sarah attended the Easter dinner at my parents' and that's when the drama happened. Sarah's kids were at their father's, so Sarah used this celebration to confront us about my brother requesting a prenup. Basically my brother explained to her that he expects them to sign a prenup and that only his biological kids will have the right to inherit anything from our family assets. This is something that we as a family discussed before and we all agree that only our children should receive assets or money from our inheritance. My brother is free to pay whatever he wants for his stepchildren out of his own money, but my children and his bio children will never have to share anything that our family has with them. Sarah claimed that we are being unfair and that we are treating her and her kids like some strangers instead of embracing them like family. She said that the normal and decent thing to do was for us to see her kids like my brother's kids who should have equal rights to any children they may have together. I told her sure, after she gets married to my brother she will become our in-law and her kids will be my brother's stepchildren, but this does not mean we have to share anything with them. I asked her, will my future kids receive anything from her parents or from their bio father's parents? She said no obviously, so I asked her then why would her kids be entitled to receive anything from us? Sarah said because they will be our family, so I told her that we have plenty of cousins that are also family but I don't go around wishing to share my inheritance with them. There was a lot more back and forth between us and Sarah was not letting this go. My brother asked her to stop because we were there to celebrate Easter, not to have this kind of conversation, but she kept on going saying we need to clarify it once and for all. I told her from where we stand everything is clear and it is only her who has a problem. She said we are greedy and cruel to some kids and I snapped. I told her to deal with it. She is free to work her ass off and gather assets to leave to her children, but we will never divide anything outside of our family and she should not expect her children to be our problem or burden to finance. I honestly feel she is very manipulative and is using my brother for what she and her kids can get from him, but that's my brother's problem to decide if this is the kind of partner he wants. I just want to know if I was too blunt in telling her the truth. Since you're talking about inheritance from your parents, what you've all decided previously and all want to continue is certainly up to you. Your brother having a prenup and a detailed will is a good idea. Since she brought it up and wouldn't let it drop, not the asshole. But your title is suggestive of more than that. You'll still give gifts to her kids the same as their kids if they have them, right? You're not going to be obvious they're second-class citizens, right? Basically, my brother explained to her that he expects them to sign a prenup and that only his biological kids will have the right to inherit anything from our family assets. Info. Is this even necessary in a prenup? Who your parents leave things to is up to them and not your brother. If there is a family trust, names have to be added to it. If your parents are still alive, if your brother divorces, I don't quite understand how what your parents own would be impacted. Not the asshole. She kept pushing for something her children are not entitled to. A lot of inheritances are set up where only descendants inherit anything. Sarah is out of line for making this an issue. If your brother doesn't get a prenup, he will definitely regret it if they split. This is your parents' money and none of your business. To top it off, it's your brother's prenup and his relationship, so again, none of your business. You would not need a prenup for assets passed down like that. They're not his bio kids. They aren't entitled to anything by default. The clause in the prenup is creating an unnecessary problem. It's a chicken shit way to express that he's really not into you like that. Melting face. I do believe that the OP's family probably treats Sarah and her children a certain way. Edit. You are the asshole for sure. Op stated that if he received the inheritance, then died and had no kids, the inheritance would transfer to Op or OP's kids instead. His wife should 100% receive whatever he has left over after he dies, and I imagine that's what a large part of the argument probably is, that is conveniently being left out. He is extremely selfish for not leaving anything to his spouse, and you all are greedy for insisting on that. Info. What happens if your brother dies? Will his wife receive any of his portion of the inheritance, assuming he died after receiving the inheritance, if they have no kids? Am I the asshole for choosing my roommate's business over a big family reunion after how my family acted? About 3 years ago, I left my ex. He wasn't a horrible guy or anything, but I was unhappy. He was obsessed with a video game and did some weird things on it. We had a dead bedroom and he wouldn't work on it, and we just shifted into roommates really. I didn't have enough saved for my own place, but I knew if I didn't leave I'd end up stuck. I'd asked members of my family if I could stay with them until I had things figured out and had a plan for roughly 1 month, up to 2 months. They all declined, so I lived in my car for a while. My family is big on pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, no handouts, accept the consequences of your choices, etc., so I was not surprised. I did not have local friends to ask. Thankfully, after a few months, my high school friend Penny moved back to town and invited me to be her roommate, and that's where I am now. Now for the conflict, lol. My mom asked me what I was doing in August because they were trying to get everyone to Florida for a family reunion. They had made reservations and things under the assumption I'd go. A while ago, Penny asked me if I could help her out at her craft fairs this year. She does 10-15 of them and it's a big to-do. She sells gorgeous jewelry and ceramics. I gladly accepted. I told my mom that I had plans over the summer and wouldn't be able to come. She got angry with me and asked me what plans could be better than a trip to Florida. I explained what I'd be doing, and she scoffed. She told me that this was probably the last time we'd all get to be with some of the older family. She said I have no sense of familial obligation. Suddenly there's a family obligation for me to pay to travel to Florida and spend time with people who wouldn't even help me out when I needed it. I went to family dinners where at the end of the night I'd leave and go sleep in my car in the Walmart parking lot and nobody blinked. I brought that up to my mom and she immediately said that my own bad choices are why I ended up living in my car and they were not required to coddle me as a grown woman. I said it goes both ways. She said I was being a petty brat. I ended the call. My sister later called me about it and asked me what my problem was and why I'm still holding ancient grudges against the rest of them and how this trip was supposed to be a big reset for the family. I do know that there are a few members of my family I probably won't see again if I don't go. This is the main reason I wonder if I'm just holding on to hurt or if it's justified for me to do this. Am I the asshole for not going to the family reunion and picking my roommate instead? Tell her. A vacation at this time is a financially poor decision, and you have no inclination to make another bad decision where you may need help and cannot count on family. This trip is not something that you budgeted for, it was sprung on you at the last minute, without even asking if it was feasible for you, and you have prior commitments. If this was supposed to be a big reset for the family, they sure went about it in a strange way. Unfortunately, your mother and your sister showed you why you shouldn't feel bad in any way for not wanting to go to this circus. If there are any older family members that you miss, just drop them a card and say you're thinking of them with love and hope to see them soon. Loving, simple, and not involving them in any drama. Then go have fun with your friend. I did the same thing with a friend one year, East Coast craft fairs all summer, selling her jewelry. It was significant other much fun. Have a blast. Just remember your friends are the family you choose. Big hug. I'm sorry, I know it's not the point of this post but I can't help it. Who in their right mind goes to Florida in August, on purpose? If my family were okay with me sleeping in a car to get out of an unhealthy relationship, then I'd never speak to them again, mother and sister included. For my children, they know that when they're older, they can always come home for any reason and that their friends can always find a home here too. That's what family is, not whatever fake show pony fuckery your relatives are on about. Not the asshole. She said I have no sense of familial obligation. That's rich coming from someone who was happy to let her daughter be unhoused. My own bad choices are why I ended up living in my car and they were not required to coddle me as a grown woman. If that's what she feels, then it works both ways. Her own bad choices, of not helping her daughter to have a roof over her head, as well as those same choices made by the rest of your family, are causing you to uphold your prior commitments. Speaking of, you made a prior commitment, which is reason enough in and of itself to not attend. Not to mention that they're expecting you to pay for the travel expenses without considering if that's actually within your means. Not the asshole. What plans could be better than a trip to Florida? Literally anything that's not going to Florida. Am I the asshole for refusing to cover my tattoos for my boyfriend's family dinner? I'm 21F, a girl who has several tattoos, some big and quite visible. My boyfriend, 26M, met me like that and I hadn't had any problem with it. He invited me to go to dinner with his family and I accepted, but he casually mentioned, maybe you could wear something with sleeves. Just so we don't start any drama. I asked what he meant, and he said his grandparents are very old school and might not react well to my tattoos. He said he didn't want the night to be awkward. I told him I wasn't going to hide part of myself to make his family more comfortable. He said it's not about hiding, it's about respect. I told him respect goes both ways, and I shouldn't have to pretend to be someone I'm not. He got upset and said I was overreacting and making it a bigger deal than it is. I told him that I would go to the dinner but that I wouldn't cover my tattoos. But then he asked me to please not attend, that if I was only going to be difficult, it would be better not to be there. That really rubbed me the wrong way and made me feel confused, because I think maybe I did behave badly and I shouldn't have reacted so vehemently against the idea. I don't want to cause drama with his family, but I have had a hard time feeling comfortable in my skin and learning to deal with the stigma people have towards me because of my tattoos. And I don't want to go back and hide again, plus I don't think I would be honest with his family either if I show myself as I am not. So, am I the asshole for refusing to cover my tattoos for the dinner? I have full sleeves. Been in this situation several times and I've gone both ways with it. With the wisdom of experience and age, I just cover it up. Not your partner's fault his grandparents are narrow-minded and nothing he can do to change it. How much time do you expect to spend with them while they're still alive? Not the asshole neither of you are. But do you desperately want to fight this one? If you win, he has to put up with their shit. Why bother? Doesn't achieve anything. How much do you really need them to know you have tattoos? IDK, I would have just covered my tattoos. And I have a lot. Not showing them the first time you meet doesn't mean not showing them forever. Is there something you're not including, like why can't the grandparents see tattoos? Why would it be disrespectful for them to see? I think when dining with parents and grandparents, be they your BFs or your own, we can put on a little mask. To make them happy, and avoid drama. You may not be for that and you want your personality on full blast at all times. But that's not what your boyfriend wants. Yes, you have a right to be yourself at all times. At the same time, a little compromise to keep your partner or his family happy isn't the end of the world. Not the asshole, but you're being rigid and short-sighted. Except for your spouse, you don't get to pick your family. Perhaps he wants his grandparents to get to know you without their prejudice getting in the way. You're setting it up as a no-win for him and he is simply trying to give you the best chance to impress his family without their bias. Show up a few times, they like you and then move on. It's not hard, but you're making it so he can't have any middle ground. You are the asshole. It is his family dinner, he is good enough to invite you. Out of consideration for him you should have done what he asked. It is a family dinner, not a chance to prove a point. You made your choice, which is totally fine, but he is allowed to make his choice as well. I would say the same thing if the roles were reversed. This was your chance to go out of your way to do something nice for him that he asked of you.